in this old sinful world. Hardly a comfort can afford. Striving along to face temptation, so please tell me, where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go? Oh, where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul. Needing a friend to help me in the end. Please tell me, where could I go but to the Lord? There is a fountain filled with blood drawn from Emmanuel's vein, and sinners plunge beneath the flood lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, and sinners plunge beneath the flood lose all their guilty stains. The dying thief rejoice to see that fountain in his day, and there may I go vile as he, wash all my sins away, wash all my sins away, wash all my sins away, and there may I go vile as he, wash all my sins away.
God bless you. Thank you for tuning in to our broadcast we call Coming Home, and I trust that it'll be a blessing to you today. We have a what we call a remote broadcast, and Brother Shane Riley is interviewing Brother Zeke Sitton, and I trust that you enjoy the setting and where they're at. Just a real life story of a real person whose life was changed by the power of Jesus Christ, and I trust that you would enjoy. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for all your shares, and may God richly bless you.
It's hard to believe he still loves me, knowing how wrong I have been, when all I can say is I'm sorry. When all I can feel is my sin, he understands. When all I can do is cry, he feels tears. You may not believe that I've been broken, for all you could see was my smile. Oh, but he hears the heart that's unspoken, and he gives me strength through each trial. He understands when all I can do is cry. He feels the hurt that no one can see down inside. And when the words get in the way, I know he still hears, for he understands my tears. And when the words get in the way, I know he still hears, for he understands when no one else can. He understands my tears.
Hello and God bless you this afternoon. We're doing another remote broadcast of Coming Home. We're here with Brother Zeke Sitton. We've just kind of been enjoying the shooting range and sighting in the rifles a little bit. Couldn't ask for a better day for doing this, and we're going to hear a little bit of Brother Zeke's story today and just listen to what God's done for him. We sure appreciate everybody's engagement on the social media and Facebook. Hopefully by the time this airs, we'll have Worldwide Missionary Outreach Instagram. You can go on that and see what we're doing there also. But today we're here to visit with Brother Zeke Sitton and just hear his testimony, hear his story. We sure hope you enjoy it. Brother Zeke's going to kind of, a Christian's life has got some ups and downs, and we're going to just hear what he has to share with us today out here at the range and enjoying it. Brother Zeke, where would you like to start off with your story?
Well, maybe just how I got saved and candle got lit first,
Yeah, go ahead and just share with our watchers exactly what all God did for you.
Well, the first time I felt God, start doing something in my life was in Tri-Cities, Washington. Went to special meetings in the fall and gave my heart. I really felt God did something for me there. I remember going to the altar and asking God to start doing something for me, and it was a really neat time. It was the first time I met missionaries, really, and got to stay in a room with some brothers, and they showed me how to tie a tie and some simple things like that, going to church, and it was a really neat time for me.
So you told us that you had an experience down in Phoenix, Arizona. You want to share some of that with us today?
Yeah, Phoenix is where I got baptized. That was later on in January. We had some missionary meetings down there in Phoenix, and I remember going there and really God touching my heart and just going to the altar and crying, and repenting, and really feeling like I needed to get baptized. I got baptized when I was a kid, but maybe it was just for my dad, but this time
Right.
I really felt like it was for me.
Right. You told us, we were just sharing and visiting and fellowshipping, and you talked about your dad a little bit. You want to tell us some of the story there, even with maybe with that church age book that Brother Jack found in the bookstore.
Yeah, so when we were kids, I remember my dad was always dragging us around to bookstores and looking for books and religious books, and my dad really had a knack for reading lots of material about religion, and he was always searching. And I remember he found a church age book in a bookstore down in California, and he read it and he said, wow, I don't know who this guy is, but it seems like everything in this church age book lines up with the Bible that I've read. And
so then, you're where maybe with Worldwide Missionary Outreach and the missionaries, Brother Jack had a goal to get you, the family, in fellowship, and you came up to Idaho.
Yeah, so when we had that church age book and we moved to Oregon, and then my dad read us that church age book twice out loud. He said it was so important that we understand what was in that church age book. And there was an address in the back of the church age book, said Jeffersonville, Indiana. So my dad, it was on him, and he sold our house we were living in Oregon and bought an RV and a truck that year, and we drove to Jeffersonville. It was before internet, and so we went to the Voice of God and the Armory and did a tour there, and we got our first message tapes and listened to Brother Branham, and it was really neat. And then we went to the service there at the Tabernacle, and my dad just said, guys, it's really not the church though I'm looking for. This is the message, but not the church. And we found a contact information for Brother Randy Jones in Idaho, and so drove all the way back across the states to Idaho and called Brother Randy, and he set up a meeting. He met Brother John Martin for the first time and only time, and they sit and talked for 2 hours. My dad asking questions and sharing and crying, and we got in the car and we were all looking at my dad and said, well, what do you think of that? And he said, that's the guy, that's the church, this is the place I've looked for my whole life.
So he up and then moved the family to, or actually,
well,
started plans to move the family.
We tried, school started that year, and we had to start school. And my dad really wanted to move to Idaho, but school starting and us getting back to Oregon and trying to get things figured out. And well, then my dad got real sick, and he got really, really sick, and got cancer, and it was throughout his whole body. And his heart was in Idaho. When we do the phone hookup services with the church in Middleton, and talking to Brother Daniel Martin a lot, and my dad was asking him questions, trying to get our family there, and he sent my brothers and sisters, my brother and mom there a few times. But I remember one time my dad was really sick, and me and my little brother Micah, he pulled us up to the bed and he said, guys, I messed up. He said, I should have moved to Idaho. He said, and I'm really sick and I won't get there now. He said, but you boys, you have to promise me that you'll get to Idaho. He said, God, that was the church. Those were the men. At WMO, Brother John Martin, he said there was something to that. Me and my brother, we promised my dad we would get to Idaho.
Then after he passed away, you were able to do that. But I'm just trying to bring you to where you wanted to go in your story, that you and your family, after Brother Jack passed away, you came to Idaho. And tell me about your accident, Brother Zeke. I know that just for me, I remember one time, just young men, growing up with your dad and things, you guys came here and didn't really, you had some difficulties. I remember pulling up in the yard and you had just lit a cigarette and had those things, and then your accident. Tell me about that, and tell me how that changed your life, Zeke.
Yeah, well, after I got baptized, I started messing around with the world again, and I was sitting on a balcony, and I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been doing the stuff I was doing the night before, and I fell off that balcony about 30 feet. The guys I was living with came down and said, "Dad, you need to go to the hospital." I said, "Oh, I'm okay." And then the sister came over and she said, "No, you're going to the hospital." And I ended up being in the hospital for 2 months. There was a point there after I was in ICU for about 10 days. I was sitting in the hospital. I just thought I was going to die, and I felt so bad and so sick. And Sister Emily Curtis Brother Daryl actually had an accident that same time, and he was in the hospital. And Sister Emily came up to my room and she said, I said, Sister Emily, could you just sing me a song today? And she started singing, and I started crying, and I said, I just need to really talk to Brother Daniel. So I called Brother Daniel and he asked how it was with my soul, and I said, well, I haven't been doing good. He prayed for me, and it really was like the first time I felt God just warm, everything is going to be okay. Peace came into my life, and I'll never forget that moment of how God can be so real in a time of trouble that I was in, and even my backslidden condition. And I remember him coming into the room, and Sister Emily was crying, and Sister Snooks was there, and we were crying, and I knew it was going to be okay after that.
Right.
At that moment, that God did touch me right there in that hospital bed, and it was it was awesome.
And then from there, you tell us a little about your home now, how things are, and you've entered into the ministry a little bit and helping in the church and your family. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I got married, and then I traveled around quite a bit in my first part of my marriage, but always feeling like God wanted me in Idaho, and talked to my pastor quite a bit and prayed about things like that. And maybe a quick testimony about how I really knew I was supposed to be in Idaho. I promised God I'd pray about where I was supposed to be. And I went on a hike with my girls one day, and I was hiking all day out in Melba, and on the way down I was carrying one of the girls on my back, and God said, you never even prayed. It's like, oh man, I was going to pray about that. And he said, well, and then a little thing spoke to my heart and said, well, Idaho is your home. And I said, well, that settles that. And I was God really put peace on my heart, and I knew I was supposed to be here. And then, God just always continuing to talk to me about, going to him and asking, well, what am I supposed to do next? Or am I supposed to be a missionary? And God did. He helps me. He told me, Zeke, you're supposed to be a missionary. And I love him for that. He's always there. Every time I ask him something really important, if you wait on the Lord, he's going to be there and answer.
Hundreds of hours Brother Zeke and I have spent together, not only overseas and in the building projects, hundreds and hundreds of hours. And we just returned. Tell us about that little trip. We just were able to take part in putting a little building together. Tell us about your part there as Brother Zeke.
Well, I got to go with Brother Shane as a team leader, and some other brothers, Brother Judah and Brother Michael, and Brother Michael from Washington, Michael Adrian, and we built a little church, helped put our shoulders with the brothers, really, is what we learned on that trip, locals showing us some of how to build a church, and we were there as, to put our shoulder to the wheel too, and it was really awesome. Brother Rolly's been needing a church for a long time, and it feels like God gave him some land and gave us the opportunity to help him put the church together, and it's an ongoing work, and it was awesome, just doing what God wants us to do, and that's missionary work.
Amen. Well, we hope you enjoyed some of Brother Zeke's testimony. These stories and little bits of testimony, they always come out, and there's no way to tell everything that God's done, but we sure like to hear the true stories and the things that God has done for the believers. If you think of someone on Facebook or even in the other social medias that you think would like this story, please